Men of Reddit who are in traditionally female positions, that is elementary teacher, nurse, SAHD. What are some of the reactions commonly associated with your profession and sex? I have a male cousin who is a preschool teacher. There was a petition going around to have him fired. He sued 2 people for going onto his town's forum and telling the town that he is a pedophile. Male elementary teacher. Last year a mom didn't want her kid in my pre-K class cause I was a guy, so they moved her. Oh well. Other than that, and some comments about how rare it is, there isn't much reaction. That's so lame. My favorite Elam teacher was male. 5th grade. Awesome guy. Had a class pet snake called Legs. I'm a male teacher at a child development center, 1 year pre-K, and I have parents give me a hard time, harass me weekly. All of the parents who have been there longer than a few months love me, especially parents of boys who don't have adult males in their life. It's for low-income families. But the new parents always hate me for being a male teacher. I had a dad question me on how I am in charge of a classroom. What do you do when a child needs their diaper changed? You're telling me they let man teachers change little girls' diapers? This dude skipped going to work and watched me for an hour, even watching over me changing his son's diaper to see if I'm a pervert or not. My aide actually left because she couldn't handle it professionally and almost told him off. He left before my boss showed up to help. But in the evening she told him he needs to register as a volunteer and do a background check if he stays more than 10 minutes. About 6 months later he apologized and said he was glad to see I'm still there. I could fill a book with all of the times I've faced discrimination for being the only male at work, but this guy sums it up pretty well. Males are pedophiles and perverts until proven otherwise in our society. At least he apologized later on. A lot of parents seem to just stick to their guns. I'm a male preschool teacher with a big manly beard and a booming voice. I help in potties and do everything my co-teachers do and have not had one bad experience. In fact, most parents, especially of boys, are ecstatic to have a male teacher in the room. One thing I have to be careful about is my tone and demeanor. I can be scary at times, I'm told. Also I need to not get caught checking out all the sexy teachers, which is tricky. Oh boy, be careful with those other sexy teachers. I work as an administrative secretary at a university. When I started here, a lot of the older faculty thought it was weird that a male would work as a secretary. They thought I must have given up on being an upper management and settled for a lower desk job. Then they realized I was much younger than they thought and took the job for the free tuition. We've got a male administration person in our department. He's a mathematician and was originally hired to do timetabling. When he isn't doing that, he does other admin stuff. He's good at his job. While it was temporary, I volunteered in a local primary school for a while as a teaching assistant in a department of literally about 20 females. They didn't even mention it, but the kids went berserk from excitement and all wanted to work with me more because I was a guy, so had different views on things, I guess. I'd go out on the playground, the kids started a big conga line behind me to follow me about on duty. Now I'm a proper teacher in a secondary school. It's pretty good. I worked at a craft store and was one of the only guys there, with a mostly female customer base. While I was working the fabric cutting counter, I had a customer call a female co-worker over and have her help, saying something along the lines of, "At least we ladies know what we're doing." Yeah, I totally don't know a thing about fabric despite both of my parents running an embroidery and printed apparel business, and me working at the costume shop at one of the colleges I went to. Nope. Years ago I was hired to be a personal trainer at a gym, but it just happened that the girl who worked the daycare quit that same day, so I agreed to fill in the position until they hired another daycare person. At first the mothers who brought their kids in were like deer in headlights when they saw me in there. Most of them asked questions about if I was qualified or understood how to act with kids, and all of them made a point to stop their workouts periodically to make sure I hadn't, like, set their kids on fire or something. I'd probably be more offended if it weren't for the fact that I really didn't know much about kids. But fast forward a week into the job and they all freaking love me. I gave the best motherfucking airplane rides that very few girls could compete with. Once they saw that the kids really looked forward to hanging out with me in there, the mothers relaxed and even asked for my schedule so their kids could visit me while they worked out. The only real downside was that the fact I ended up being good at the daycare meant that the boss neglected to find a replacement and I never got to do any personal training at that job. In college, I was chapel organist for an all-girls private school, a position which has previously been held exclusively by females. The interesting reaction was that suddenly there were more girls than ever signing up for chapel choir and private organ lessons. Organ lessons. Degrees. Male high school Spanish teacher. Only male in the department. Only white person in the department. The reactions can vary from intrigue, a white person speaking near native Spanish, to why is a gringo teaching Spanish to me? They've probably never heard of Spain. As a male nurse, I tell my patients everybody wants a hot blonde female 20-something taking care of them. Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad, right? Stay-at-home dad for half the year. My favorite part is taking my son to the Applebee's I would go to when I'm working. Usually I'd come in dirty and sweaty and the female bartenders and servers would chat me up. Bringing in my son while dressed more casually ups the attention tenfold. I'm a male X-ray technician. It's about 70-30% female-male ratio, at least where I am. It's always funny when some guys' faces of all ages fall a little bit when I walk in the room because despite their injuries at least they may get to look at an attractive female X-ray tech, and now they can't. Where I am from, 90% of X-ray techs are burly guys in their 40s from former Yugoslavia. The remaining 10% are their wives. Male elementary school teacher. It's not a big deal. When I started, some of the other teachers and kids said they were excited to finally have a male teacher. The only negative reactions I've gotten were from guys who work in more traditionally masculine fields. But it doesn't bother me. We definitely need more male teachers. I have been a stay-at-home dad for a few years now. When I first started, my girls were pretty young still. They were about 5, 3, and 1.5 years old. I can't remember how many times women made comments or did that passive-aggressive thing where they ask a child, who can't speak well yet, a rhetorical question aimed at me. Oh dear, where are your shoes? Did daddy forget to put shoes on you? It's summer, lady. She's in a stroller. Or things like exiting the grocery store and an older lady comes up to me while I'm getting my girls to hold hands and look for cars in the lot. Are you okay? Do you need some help? I wasn't upset or yelling at them. I didn't look stressed out and about to lose it with my kids. But the tone of voice is the killer in these situations. It's pure condescension. You know, the voice is in the upper register with a big fake smile, drawing out the words all sing-song like. This is the female version of mansplaining. I call it being an asshole. The moms that I am around on a regular basis are all cool and don't do it, but it used to happen quite a bit. It must be that women think men can't adequately care for small children, babies. They feel like the subject matter experts and will insert their snide questions and comments to try and make someone feel inadequate or like they aren't doing a good job parenting. Basic butt moms. People regularly ask me if I'm babysitting or playing Mr. Mom just because I'm with my kids during the daytime. No, I'm just a dad doing dad things. I'm a male nurse. The only people who give me crap are the ones who really don't know what nurses do. They tend to shut up when I tell them that the army trained me to be nurse. Nice. I used to work at a daycare. I was not allowed to help a kid in the bathrooms or be alone in a room with a kid, not matter the circumstances, but that rule didn't apply to the women. Though people are saying how frick that is. I am a male at a preschool and I have been accused of molesting a child. As crappy as it is, it's also to protect yourself. Just got my BSN. Fresh out of nursing school. I currently work as a CNA while trying to break through to my first nursing job. My nursing class was about 65% female, 35% male, and that was considered high. A lot of people ask me when I'm gonna be a doctor or if I've ever wanted to be a doctor. I have an aunt who's a pediatrician who straight up asked me why I want to be a doctor's assistant and why I picked a girl's job. I always thought she'd be more empathetic being a woman in what's seen as a male-dominated field, but I guess not. I get a lot of questions asking why I want to be a nurse. This is usually par for the course being young and out of nursing school, but I can't help but notice I get the question more than women. I also know a lot of people are genuinely curious and don't mean anything by it, but I can't help but get defensive when it usually follows the "why aren't you, do you plan to be a doctor" questions. On occasion I get requests by patients to not be taken care of by male nursing staff, which I feel is completely understandable. I can't say I'm totally guilt-free though. I once shadowed on a unit where all staff was required to wear the same scrubs. I approached a Filipina girl and called her nurse only for her to tell me she's the resident. Healthcare's just very entrenched in its gender roles in general, but it's slowly changing. I've been to emergency departments where the nursing staff was majority male, but you still have your completely female dominated specialties like OB, labor and delivery. Nowadays you do have more men becoming nurses and women becoming doctors, which is great, but it's still gonna take a while for the public view to change. I'm male and worked in a daycare when I was in high school. Multiple mothers went to owner and asked that I not change their children. I thought it very weird at the time, but it worked out great for me. I just handed kids with dirty diapers or who had soiled themselves to female staff. On one level that's super insulting, but on the other, that's a world of crap you avoided. I teach gymnastics. I've had a few negative reactions and have gotten some stares, but once they get to know me they usually love me. All the kids love me too. I love that job. Home daycare provider for 15 years. Stay-at-home dad for 17 years. My wife started working with me just a few years ago, but I've encountered some people who assume it's a job and I just help out, but that's kind of expected. The first mom though who sent me her children, she became a personal friend later, admitted to me that when she started her kids at my daycare she told people he's great with kids, but if he ever touches them inappropriately I'll kill him. Well, I would kill anyone who did that too. But if I was a woman, would they have thought that way? Probably not. Hey, male nurses are pretty common today. I get told that I'd make a good doctor a lot, which seems to happen more to males than females. The best experience I've had with a nurse was a male nurse. He was calm and comforting, and made me feel safe when nothing else did, but then I ruined it by telling him he had nice hair. I'm a teen who works as a daycare staff member at the local boys and girls club. It gives me job security. All of the kids love having a guy around. I'm a male English teacher in secondary. The only reason I say this is due to the fact that as a teen I only had female English teachers. My school has 4 full-time English teachers, all of which are male. There is a bit of venom thrown at us by female counterparts. And same as others, no students alone in the class, and I'm very careful when discussing some ideas like sex and Gatsby. All of whom are male. FTFY English teacher. I worked in a ceramics art studio for a good 5 years while in college. One of those paint-it-yourself places. We would do birthday parties and about once a month I would have a mom as for a female co-worker because they can connect with the kid better. Yeah, okay. Don't mind me over here able to recite Pinkalicious forward and backward. That book has so many words. So many. I only just realized every teacher I've had from kindergarten to grade 6 has been female. Till elementary school teachers are indeed mostly female. My elementary school had about 60 teachers, of which only 1 was male. I was a 3-day-a-week SAHD. You'd be surprised at the condescending bulls or outright hostility from most people. Condescending bulls in the form of giving mom a break today. How did daddy take the day off of work to bring you to the park? People don't mean it maliciously, but that crap is frustrating. It's sexist against women because it presumes their place is at home with the kids, and it's sexist against men because it assumes the opposite. I'm also looked at like a predator at the playground. Even when I'm playing with the boy, I get glares from a lot of Sams, and when I do say hello I often get curt hi and avoided. All because I'm not part of the yoga pants iced coffee amber necklace club. Male nurse here. More often than not, patients and family think I'm a doctor. I always get a kick out of that as I'd never want to be a doctor. I get hit on a lot. I'm an average looking guy, but wow. Some of the other female nurses I work with are very flirty. This pretty much sums up male nursing experience. However, I feel that the doctor stereotype is diminishing. At least where I am there's tons of female docs. I find the patients very flirty too sometimes. I'm from Germany and work as a childcare worker. 2 6-year-old kids. I don't know how it's in the USA, but here I am greatly appreciated by the kids, parents and my co-workers. I'm not portrayed as a creep pedophile. I'm allowed to stay alone with the kids. I can enter all bathrooms and help the children on my own. I'm allowed to change the diapers alone. Overall, they treat me no different because of my sex. I can't believe some of the things I read in this thread. I don't know if I could work in this field with all those restrictions put on you guys. I used to be a Spanish teacher. For some reason I found myself taking classes where I was the only guy or one of the only guys all the time. There's a little bit of flirting, and a lot of them mothering me. You've had too much AODA today. It was weird when sometimes the mothering and flirting came from the same person. God dang, I wish I could be a SAHD again. I did it for about 8 months when my oldest was a kindergartner. Cooked, cleaned, did laundry, spent a ton of time with my daughter. It was amazing. In the course of those 8 months she went from being the youngest in her class and of a questionable maturity for school to being the top of her class, reading at a 2nd grade level, counting to nearly 200. The works. That's not significant because I'm dad or a guy or anything. I think it's just the impact that any parent can have while getting to focus on being a full-time parent instead of juggling a job and passing the baton between parents. It was honestly the most gratifying thing I have ever done. I'm a registered nurse, and I'm a guy. None of my co-workers treat me any different, although now that I think of it, I do get asked a lot to help lift turn patients or to restrain the combative ones. I also get teased regularly by friends and family. It bothered me a lot at first, but I've realized that I don't really care, and most of the time it's very lighthearted. We joke that I should have dressed in a sexy nurse costume for Halloween. They ask how many sponge baths I had to give last night at work. We laugh about the look of disappointment on some of the elderly men's faces when they realize that this bearded man is going to be their nurse for the next 12 hours, and not some cute young blonde. A lot of older ladies do not want me helping them to the bathroom or cleaning up after they had an accident, or any such thing, so I have to go grab one of the girls often. Patients are interesting. I get asked a lot if I'm going to continue on and become a doctor, as if nursing is a stepping stone of a career for men. But I'm sure they don't ask every female that same question. I get asked why a guy would go into nursing. I get told how brave it is that I'm a male nurse. Which reminds me, I hate that term. Male nurse. We don't say female nurse or male doctor unless the sex is important to the subject of conversation. However, I'm constantly introduced as a male nurse, or when asked what I do, I say I'm a nurse and people respond, "Oh, a male nurse. That's wonderful." All in all though, most of the treatment I get is positive. Only once did I have a patient, who was an elderly lady, tell me straight to my face that men had no place in the field of nursing, and she was offended that I was her nurse. I switched assignments that night. I'm finishing my water safety instructor certification, soon to start my 6-week practicum. One of the things that was really stressed during training is that at some point, you will have a little girl who is terrified of men, or a mother who doesn't want her daughter being taught by a man. It's actually what I'm most afraid of, because there's almost nothing I can do about it. If they don't want your services, fuck 'em. They can go somewhere else. Organize and host activities and other events in a retirement home for mostly elderly people, some disabled and or mental problems, dementia. Lovely. Anyway, sometimes the only guy, or sometimes with 2 other males in the whole facility. A lot of positive reactions. They love it when I walk arm in arm with a granny. Haha, even the old ladies make comments about I am a nice guy. Not much competition. Of course. On my work I am extremely social, happy, smiling, so that helps too. Male RN here, work in outpatient surgery. Pretty much the same experiences as the other nurses have said. Occasionally get hit on, or mistaken for a doctor, but treated the same as anyone. As long as you treat people well, they don't care what your gender is. My floor gets a lot of gyn surgeries, which was kind of awkward at first since most of them come out with peripods on that we have to assess periodically to make sure they haven't having too much bleeding. I've had a couple patients ask for a woman to be the one who checks, but most don't care. Most awkward part for me was pulling vaginal packing the first time. Pretty much like 2 feet of bloody gore stuffed inside. Those are usually older ladies who had bladder surgery or internal vaginal repair. Google colposcopy. but it's something where usually it was uncomfortable for the person, so they are just glad it's coming out. Same as pulling catheters. Funny experience was a middle-aged African American dude who had hernia surgery. Part of the requirements to go home is being able to pee. He had been with us for like 3 hours and wasn't able to pee, but said he felt like he really had to go. Bladder scanned him and he had 500 milliliters, a good amount, inside. Pretty much an ultrasound of your bladder. So talked to the surgeon and he gave the order to catheterization the dude and send him home. The poor guy kept apologizing that I have to touch his junk. In the end he was glad to be able to go home at least. My dad teaches elementary school and has been doing so for many years. He is former military and worked as a security guard and in factories before he got his degree. Anyhow, the community loves him. Lots of broken homes in the area he teaches in, and he is a positive male role model for the kids, especially the boys. He is currently the only male teacher at the school other than the pay teacher. Whenever I'm with my dad in public, tons of kids he's had, including those who have their own kids now. He's been doing this for a really long time. Come up to him and say how great of a teacher he was. And he really only remembers 2 kids in his career being heck. He is the calmest person I have ever met. Been married to my mom for over 30 years, and I have never heard him raise his voice. He could have done anything and is extremely smart, but he chose education. He doesn't do it because it's easy or because of the money. Not a lot of that. He does it because he is making a real difference. All in all, everyone loves him because he really is the epitome of calm, and he is a positive male role model. Perhaps the only one for a lot of the kids. Sorry for block of text on mobile. I'm a male kindergarten teacher. I'm often told by parents that it's uncommon, but other than that it's either neutral or positive comments. When I meet people from other countries, they can be quite shocked and surprised that a man can be a kindergarten teacher. Not just that it's uncommon, but that it wouldn't be accepted in their own country. Sometimes they make me feel like they themselves don't accept it. One parent didn't want me to be alone with her child, though I think it was less to do with being a man, and more to do with the fact that I disciplined the child, and she did not. As a man working in a nursery with 1 5-year-olds, I am frequently the butt of pedophile jokes amongst peers. Haha, yeah, you play with kids all day. God forbid anyone I don't like, a stranger, says this to me on a bad day because I do not appreciate it. Also get prunish parents saying they don't want me changing their child's nappy, being their key worker etc. Quit my last job because my manager bent to their wills instead of telling them it was wildly freaking inappropriate to make such demands because I have a dong. I work with children. I still stick my dong in adults like the rest of the male species. I'm 6 feet 4 inches, 280 pounds, public library director. I look like an NFL player a few years after retirement. The previous several directors had been small, timid ladies, and many patrons were used to pushing them around. No longer do problem patrons get to bully my staff. I love it when one of them smugly asks to speak with the director. Seeing their bravado turn to squeamishness when I ask, "Can I help you?" is freaking awesome. I am now picturing Rambo screaming about overdue library books. I was an admin, assistant receptionist for a general manager, sales and marketing team, and replaced your classic 50s female receptionist when she retired. I got a lot of backhanded comments for the first couple months. "She's not as good looking as your last receptionist. You'll have to work on your female touch." Maybe not. You know, part of being a secretary is being sexy, right? etc etc. I focused on reducing the use of receptionist and focused on admin, assistant or front office manager. Working to change their vocabulary eventually gave me more confidence in the position and changed their standpoints on the position's mold. It eventually went away as I proved myself and made the position my own, got to know the team, held the position for +2 years, and am now doing consulting work in the same industry. I actually meet my current boss through my reception position. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.